All right, people, what's going on? How you doing? Welcome back to Black Mirror News, where everything is connected. And we are live on Rumble, YouTube, and X. You can watch in any of those places. The headline is impossible. It's possible in a cartoon. Excuse me. Something tells me I'm going to have to take a break for a second and drink some water. All right. A whole lot to talk about. And it's already Thursday. Oh, man. I forgot to do something. I forgot to do a whole lot of things. Okay. Okay. I'm back. I don't know why it looks like this. Come on now. Someone up in here. Hello. Okay, here we go. All right, the stream should be a little bit better. Sorry if it started out a little glitchy. My bad. I've had a bit of an eventful morning, not, just a regular scattered kind of eventful morning, trying to do a lot of things at once. For everyone listening, and I'll say it again at the end of the show, I'm doing a little live music stream tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific on Instagram at kevinsandbloom and YouTube at kevinsandbloom. So if you want to come through and listen to a couple of songs, couple of 3 songs, that'll be happening tonight. So come check that out. All right. Well, let's try and, I guess, start from the beginning. I saw this in the middle of the night. Can y'all hear me okay? Ha. I think I'm okay. Saw this article in the middle of the night and got me angry. And this, who knows how far this can actually extend? I'm not sure. Because I show videos of people protest or, pushing ICE back out of their communities. And is that aiding protesters? Could that be construed as aiding protesters? I don't, where does this all end? I'm not sure. What's up? Something's in the water. How are you doing? Feds make it a crime to give PPE to ICE protesters. Trump administration is trying to criminalize activism like identifying masked immigration agents. So trying, although the headline says make it a crime. Trying. They're trying to make all kinds of things a crime, like, I don't know, having feelings about things. There's a wave of anti-Semitism in this country. I think we all know that criminals tend to hang out with criminals. What? ICE Deputy Director Madison Sheehan said. And so when we start to build a case, we're going to be going after everyone that's around them. Well, they've deemed ICE protesters criminals, so that's strike one, I guess. Because these criminals tend to hang out with like-minded people who also happen to be criminals. They're just all criminals. We just have named them. The pledge to broaden arrests came as an immigration sweep that sowed fear across Los Angeles has been met by a growing protest movement to stop the raids and arrests. In addition to arresting hundreds of immigrants across Southern California, the government is targeting a mounting number of people who are responding to the raids or helping protests. Some of those targeted have provided supplies to protesters or tried to identify ICE agents conducting raids in masks and plain clothes. The remarks from Sheehan, the ICE official, came 3 days after a federal judge ordered the Trump administration to stop indiscriminate ICE raids in LA. Well, the judge is the adult in the room. Just first of all, try to remember that these people that are, the authorities are freaking lawless children who are just making shit up. They're not acting on a legal basis. They're absolutely illegal. They're absolutely, the only thing that makes them the authority is that they have the weapons and the, badges and stuff. But these people are absolutely out of control. I don't know what you want to call them. Lawless cartel members. They are criminals acting in a criminal way. They just happen to be in a particular place but they are not the authority. What they say doesn't make any sense, doesn't have any value. The only thing, the only weight that it holds is that I suppose they can, they can criminalize people for saying something about it or pushing back or fighting back against them or something, a la any other out of control, lawless head, corrupt head of state. Pick your poison. But just because they are in charge doesn't mean that they are correct, have any, moral or ethical standing, or, they're just lawless. Yeah, thugs, I think is a good word, John. And the end result of all this is nothing good for them or for you. I don't really understand going down this road for them, because they're going to end up, all of them will end up, I suppose they all hope that they'll end up with some money laundering cash offshore accounts somewhere and they can escape. But in the end, they're going to, it's going to end up badly for them, and it's probably going to end up badly for us on some level. And I don't know what it is that you're trying to, you're trying to just put everybody in prison. Sure. But then what happens to your economy when nobody's around to like buy things or do things, and when you're just printing money in order to pay people to lock people up, and then pay the people that own the prisons the money to lock people up. If all you're doing is just printing money to keep the economy going, which is what they're doing right now. I'm going to talk about that as well. You're just, what is it? It's just going to be a big fat financial crash. And, a lot of people are going to lose everything they have. And, a lot of those people are the people that are in charge right now. They don't know that yet, but they think that they're going to be okay. I don't think so. This is just not a good road to go down. But they're puffing and huffing and puffing around, like we're, the law, and you're not the law. You're illegal thugs. You're not the law. You're barely competent, pretenders to the law. You are not the law. But whatever. Roving patrols operating without reasonable suspicion. So anyways, the judge ordered the Trump administration to stop indiscriminate ICE raids. In the order, Judge Mame Awusi Mensa Frimpong, that's a lot of name, condemned the administration's use of a person's characteristics like their appearance, accent, or occupation as a basis for arrest, but that's totally happening all the time. Roving patrols operating without reasonable suspicion and denying access to lawyers violated the Fourth and Fifth Amendments, the judge wrote. What the federal government would have this court believe in the face of a mounting evidence presented in this case is that none of this is actually happening. Now, those accused of helping the anti-ICE movement are facing prosecution or investigation. Earlier this month, a federal grand jury indicted a man after he handed out face shields to people protesting ICE in Los Angeles 2 days after President Donald Trump deployed the National Guard. Alejandro Orellana, 29, pleaded not guilty to a charge of conspiracy to aid and abet civil disorders. According to a grand jury indictment, the face shields were advertised as designed to protect from chemical splashes and flying debris. Orellana's arrest for distributing supplies is an outrageous violation of civil rights and should be a wake-up call to people everywhere. It is a violation of civil rights, and you have the right to protest. This appears to be a targeted political attack on resistance to a military incursion in our communities, Harvey said. Distributing supplies to protesters is not a crime. It's a critical role to help keep people safe. By the way, speaking about this, or voicing displeasure about this, or pointing out what is wrong, is absolutely covered in your First Amendment rights. You have the right to free speech. You have a right to disagree with the government. You have a right to disagree with what's going on. And you have a right to protest. You have a right to assembly. You have a right to protest. In Orellana's case, an agent from the FBI made a claim similar to the one the ICE deputy would later make to Fox News, that it was assigning criminality to people based on assumptions, not on evidence. The agent claimed in an affidavit that wearing such gear, like the face shields designed to protect against law enforcement using pepper spray and tear gas, is not common amongst nonviolent peaceful protesters. Oh, really? Instead, he argued the face shield was an item used by violent agitators to enable them to resist law enforcement and to engage in violence and or vandalism during a civil disorder. So you can't protect yourself against violence, apparently. Last month, Senator Marsha Blackburn, another criminal who happens to be in an office, introduced a bill that would make identifying ICE officers a federal crime. In another case, in another case in May, ICE agents raided the home of a family in Irvine, California, on a criminal search warrant. They were investigating the source of flyers that had been posted around LA earlier this year with identifying information about ICE officers. The government suspected the family's son was responsible. Representative Dave Min of California issued a statement after the May raid saying he was deeply concerned with news of the raid and asked federal law enforcement for more information. Min's office did not respond to questions about whether they had received such information. I mean, I think what people have a problem with is the fact that the indiscriminate rounding, sure, if ICE agents are, arresting people who are here illegally, I guess that's one thing. You could not agree with it, or you could protest it, you could be against it or whatever, but it's the fact that they're just rounding people up without warrants, without identification, without, not really caring whether people are truly here illegally or not, without and sending them off to be detained or go to jail or other countries without due process, which is also a huge problem. Well, look at this one. ICE arrest U.S. citizen in Florida for looking illegal. His camera recorded what agents say if they think nobody's looking. Agent 1 says we're going to end up shooting someone. Agent 2, just remember you can smell that with a $30,000 bonus. Yeah, ha ha ha. Kenny Lanez, 18, was detained for 6 hours despite proving he is a U.S. citizen. I think this is the thing that people have a problem with. You are just terrorizing people. If you're arresting people and they're U.S. citizens and you don't care and you're just doing it for the money, this is terrorism. This is terrorism. We're calling you terrorists. You are the terrorists. You are the terrorists. And something should be done about these terrorists in our country. They're terrorizing people illegally. He was traveling in a van to a landscaping job in Palm Beach, Florida. His mother was driving. She is legally present in the U.S., but not a citizen. So I guess it makes you feel better if you're just doing your job. Again, if the job is illegal, maybe you should think twice about doing it. You may or may not feel like there's going to be any consequences for this. I don't know. Wild times. Anyways, I was, as you can tell, fairly angry about that. David Sirota posting this headline from The Verge: Why Tech Billionaires Want a Corporate Dictatorship. He said, after 25 years in this work, I'm genuinely amazed that it took everyone this long to finally realize what's been going on the entire time. I mean, I don't remember David Sirota. Sorry if you could you guys see that before? Sorry. I don't think I've ever once heard David Sirota warn me about the coming corporate dictatorship, but it's what's happening. It is truly what's happening. Yeah. There's a whole lot on the Epstein files. It's still just one of the biggest stories out there. It seems to be getting bigger. Let's listen to this from Tiffany Chianchi. And this is about Trump is opening up retirement plans to private equity. And people are very nervous about this. Extra Bola, what's up? Extra, read all about it. Trump order to help open up retirement plans to private markets. Wall Street Journal reports. Trump is expected to sign an executive order in the coming days designed to help make private market investments more available to U.S. retirement plans. The Wall Street Journal reported on Tuesday, citing people familiar with the matter. The Trump order would instruct the U.S. Labor Department and the Securities and Exchange Commission to provide guidance to employers and plan administrators on including investments like private assets and 401k plans. Brian Corbett, president of and CEO of MFA, a trade association that represents alternative asset management options such as private credit and hedge funds, hailed the expected order. Expanding access to alternative investments and 401k plans will provide more Americans with the diversification and investment options needed to build wealth and save for successful retirement, he said in a statement. But there is some good. Yeah. Haven't had a 401k since the 2008 collapse. Yeah. I hear you. I had a retirement plan around then, and it lost like half its value in the space of a month or two, and then I just cashed out the rest. I probably should have held on to it because it probably would have rebounded at some point. But at the time, I was cash poor. No matter. This is water long under the bridge. But let's listen to Tiffany Cianci talk about this. She's awkward but informative. Oh, sorry.
Is about to grift. Let's get into it. That's right, everybody. Trump is set to issue an executive order that will open the floodgates and allow private equity funds to access and tap $12 trillion in 401k holdings in America. And the same people that control your 401ks have debt.
Hold on.
Private equity right now.
Can anybody hear? You can hear her now? Okay. Okay. I just want to make sure.
Giving them poor returns and in desperate need of a capital infusion. No conflict of interest here, everybody. Just look the other way. Private equity is in big trouble. They need a bailout fast, and you are their only hope. But don't worry. Don't worry. It's going to be good for you. It's going to be the deal of a lifetime for you. That's right. Harvard and Yale, they're trying to sell their private equity funds and no one will buy them. But if you help buy them, you're going to get 1,000% windfalls. 1,000% windfalls in a day. Because definitely, if the wealthy had a chance to make 1,000% windfalls, they would absolutely be sharing it with you. They wouldn't keep it for themselves. They want everybody to be wealthy, obviously. And that's why they're promising 1,000% windfalls that will make your brain melt if you just let them have access.
Okay, I'm going to pause right for just a second. Yeah, extra bowl, privatize everything because the free market will take care of you. It's so ridiculous. I've talked about this so many times, but the whole I'm not going to go way far down the road. I'm going to try not to go way far down the road, but there is a whole chorus of people that tell you like the government is super bad and evil, and yes, they are. Yes, they are. if you don't have any oversight of the government whatsoever, if you completely divest your attention, or the idea that you can have any kind of effect whatsoever over the government, and you just let them run rampant, this is what happens. You end up getting Trump. You end up getting, people posing like they're doing something and doing the opposite, or selling you down the river, like Obama, Clinton, on and on and on and on. Um, I am a democratic socialist. I am a socialist because I believe that like you have to, you have to have some oversight of something somewhere. And I hear people, it's hilarious to me because I hear alternative journalists out there all the time, all the freaking time, just telling you like how horrible, the government is. Sure, yes, agreed. But like, then they lament that the regulations are being slashed, that there's no oversight, nobody's if you actually tried to pressure the government to have some oversight, right? If you insisted that the government have some kind of oversight, if you push the government to have some kind of oversight, if you demanded that the government have some kind of oversight, that these agencies and these institutions like do something in your favor, you might get a little better outcome than just saying like, no, it's all bad and we don't care, and just stop voting and just stop trying and just stop doing anything about it. And then it just gets worse and worse and worse. And then you cry about the fact that there's just absolutely no oversight whatsoever. And everything is being sold off to private equity now. I wonder how that happened. Because it was like, 30, 40, 50 years of like Rush Limbaugh and what's the other guy? The guy that I was talking about, Whitney Webb had an interview with, Glenn Beck, and those clowns. 50 years of these clowns saying like, no, we need a smaller government and big government is bad. And all they did was just like pave the way for the Ronald Reagans of the world. And every time we get a right winger in office, they just absolutely slash and burn. Reagan, Bush, Trump. They slash and they burn everything that's supposed to help people and sell off whatever is left to the oligarchy. And you wonder why things get bad. And I don't know. And the alternative news bozos just continue to harp on this, line that the government bad. That's all it is. Just government bad. Dude, you're just wearing a Rush Limbaugh suit, telling people to like, watch out. They're gonna, sell you down the river. Well, yeah. If you just tell people that nothing you can do is ever going to fix or change anything, if you tell everybody that socialism is bad and it's all communism, and he's like, dude, all this is like super simple, but like, I don't know. Anyways, we are back in the oh shit, the Ohio River is on fire days. Yes, we are. And it's going to get worse until somebody goes like, hey, maybe we should do something. Hey, maybe we should organize and actually try to do something. It's just sitting around telling people how bad things are and tell them not to even try. Don't even try, bro. Okay. Sure. I'm sure that's going to work. I'm sure that's going to work out for us.
To your 401k. So how did we get here? Well, over the last 30 years, private equity as a sector has been able to run roughshod over the entire American economy. They have strip mined every single industry with unmitigated access and absolute clearance by every single politician. They have paid to clear the runways and give them clear skies to do whatever they wanted to do to the American economy. They've destroyed jobs. They've destroyed companies. They've destroyed communities. But they did all of that with record low costs for debt. The interest was almost zero. And so with cheap debt and the belief that they'd be able to refinance if anything ever went wrong, they've been allowed to do this with no real concerns until 3 years ago when our interest rates started going up. Debt is no longer cheap. And at this point, these companies have leveraged billions and billions of dollars onto all of the things that they've acquired. And they're paying double-digit interest rates, sometimes between 14 and 21% at this point, because they took on all this debt at adjustable rates. And those adjustable rates have come calling. And where they used to be able to turn over every company they acquired every 3 years, now no one is buying. The institutional investors and the wealthy are saying, we're out. Harvard and Yale are saying, we're out. And what we have is a bunch of private equity funds that are desperate to close out their funds and close out for their investors. And they're stuck Nothing is moving because there's no money coming into the industry.
Yep. Exactly, extra bullet. We need your 401k for our Ponzi scheme. That's exactly what they're trying to do. That's what they're trying to do. They are trying to bring in all the crypto wealth to help, stabilize the dollar and or hypothesize the dollar. Rehypothecate. I was trying to say two words at the same time. It is what they're trying to do, but there is we are also on the edge of a debt cliff. So, and the last bill, the big whatever it is, the big suck a fool bill that just got passed, added more to the debt that we can't even sustain now. So they're going to look for all kinds of ways to, I feel like that's kind of what, the tariffs are a multi-layer event. They're pressure on other countries to do what we want them to do. They're also pressure to still instill the dollar dominance, while it's still around. Ainsley, what's up? Yeah. But they are really trying to find ways to just, suck up whatever wealth that they can get or generate or scrape from every little transaction. While they can, before the rats scurry for the doors, which is, highly likely. I don't know the date or the time, but it could be, could be this October, could be next February. I don't know. And it's hard because people are really, there's two very clear tiers in society. There's people that have some money and some ability to move around and do things and maybe leave the country or invest in certain things that'll keep them, afloat or keep them making money. And then there's another, group of people that are just bleeding out and having a hard time just paying for, necessities. Hulk Hogan died. No. 44 billion in liabilities. Yeah. So, we got a lot of problems. There's a lot of problems. There's a lot of, well, here's another scenario that a lot of people have put forward. I think, it's in the Catherine Austin Fitts, Whitney Webb crowd. And that is, I know Chuck Mangione. I love Chuck Mangione. It feels a little like, remember, was it 2020? I think it was 2020 when just a bunch of people died. I don't know. Maybe just we have the internet now, so everybody dies all the time. But I feel like there's a lot of people dying right now, famous people. But what was I saying? What was I saying? I don't know. Completely lost my train of thought. Oh, what I was saying was a lot of people have warned that something like a jubilee, a debt jubilee, where that combined with the internet going down, combined with an EMP event, any one of these things, a false flag event, something could could kind of halt the system as we know it and put everybody in a huge panic. And then when the lights go back on or the power goes back on or the internet goes back on, they, will be issuing people digital dollars or taking in the worthless paper dollars that they have or whatever other assets that they have and issuing them the new digital money that they will try to go forward with. I don't know. There's a lot of things at play right now. There's a lot of scenarios rolling out. Here's a scary video from the Amazon. This guy, I think, is there trying to save trees, and they're going to come bulldoze the trees.
Okay. If you're seeing this right now, this is the end game. We just found out they're about to cut another 100,000 acres of the Amazon rainforest. And if you don't believe me, for the last 20 years, I've been working with the indigenous people of the upper Amazon. We've even been able to protect over 100,000 acres of pristine forest, but there's another 100,000 acres that is up for sale now. So what's going to happen is that international subcontracted companies are going to come in with state-of-the-art bulldozers, and the job description of the people who drive the bulldozers is rompemonte, means break the forest. Entire worlds are going to burn because that road is going to come through here, and then nothing's going to be the same. This is forest that has been growing since the dawn of time. The uncontacted tribes are living up there the way people were living 10,000 years ago, naked with bows and arrows. They have no idea what's coming for them. We have the proof of concept. We have the knowledge that if you have clean air, clean water, life on Earth comes standard with these things, and then everything else you're interested in can happen. This is a historic opportunity, and I know how crazy it is to take on one's own life mission, saving the Amazon rainforest, but that's what I've done. And I just found out that the hill that I'm going to die on is on this river, and so I'm going to be asking for help, because if we succeed, we save something that's a treasure for all of planet Earth, and if we fail, entire worlds burn. Let's go.
All right. Godspeed to that person who is trying to save the Amazon. Somebody's got to do it, because golly, if you just roll over and just say whatever, we're probably not going to fix it, then they're just going to cut it down, and then it'll just get worse. Let's see. Gregory says in Canada and probably the USA, the banks and the credit unions, Microsoft and Google seem to use the same system where you have to be supplied a code to get to your bank account. Really? Huh. To get to your bank account? You mean like online? Well, that's the thing, is that the goal is to get us into a digital trap where you have to be on the internet to be able to do anything, right? You won't have access to services or banks or whatever in a physical form. And then all your money is there on the internet, and all your services are there on the internet, and then they got you because if they can turn you off or turn it off or turn off your access, then what? Anyways, let's see. White House rescinds $20 million for clean water in pesticide-contaminated rural California. EPA said grant to provide clean water was a wasteful DEI program as pesticide leaches into the residents' wells. I'm sure it has nothing to do with DEI. It's just their way of demonizing something so that they can cut it. EPA said grant to provide clean water was a wasteful DEI program as pesticide leaches into residents' wells. In December, the Biden administration stepped in with a long-awaited $20 million grant to provide clean water, improve municipal sources, and relieve the region's financial and health burden. Trump administration just took the money away. They labeled the grant wasteful. Drinking water in some parts of the Monterey County region, which largely produces strawberries, has not been safe for decades because it is contaminated with staggering levels of highly toxic pesticide ingredients that threaten the health of agricultural workers and others. The decision to yank the money was unjust, said Mairead Jimenez. I can speak. A spokesperson for the Community Water Center, which is helping manage the grant's implementation. The funding, along with California state money, would have improved drinking water quality for about 5,500 people, either through improvements to municipal infrastructure or by connecting contaminated wells to municipal lines. The aquifer in the rural majority Spanish-speaking communities in Monterey County, which sits about 50 miles south of San Jose, is widely contaminated with 1,2,3-TCP, a pesticide ingredient, and a carcinogen banned in 40 countries that persists for decades on the soil and groundwater. In many cases, the 1,2,3-TCP levels in wells have been found to far exceed state limits and EPA health guidelines for drinking water. 1,2,3-TCP can also evaporate and create toxic fumes in the shower and is linked to liver, kidney, and reproductive damage. Yikes. All right. We're going to go to some Epstein stuff. I know. Exclusive, the Justice Department told President Trump in May that his name is among the many in Epstein files. This is from the Wall Street Journal. They seem to be taking off the gloves as far as trying to get Trump to concede. But yeah, so here's another one. Dems pull upset on Epstein files. In a genius move, House Democrats were able to pass a motion in the GOP-controlled House Oversight Subcommittee to subpoena all the Jeffrey Epstein files. Republicans were blindsided because Democrats dropped an 11th hour motion and at an unrelated hearing after noticing that most GOP members on the panel had publicly demanded the files be released. The GOP chair was caught off guard and scrambled, first delaying the vote, then trying to sabotage it by adding amendments to include Biden administration communications. Democrats called their bluff and agreed. Then the GOP chair, Representative Higgins, lied, claimed the motion failed until Representative Robert Garcia forced a full roll call vote. Ultimately, the vote passed 8-2 after 3 Republicans defied their leadership and joined all 5 Democrats to pass the motion, release the Epstein files. For those that are here, quickly, I'm gonna keep going for several more minutes, but just letting everybody know I'm doing a little music stream tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific on Instagram and YouTube at kevinsandbloom on either of those platforms. If you want to come listen to a little bit of music, you can do that.
Document into the record listing the members of this committee and their individual calls to release the Epstein files.
Shona, without objection. The subcommittee stands in recess, subject to the call of the chair.
Point of order. Are we not
we're in
going to take the
recess.
vote?
We're in recess. That was a previous order.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, we need to take the vote from the motion.
We're in recess pursuant to previous order.
I don't know that we need to watch this, but I just read. I told you what happened. Cash Patel going from bloviating, put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are, to having to sulk around informing other top officials that Trump is in the Epstein files has to be one of the funniest things that ever happened in the U.S. government. This is from Michael Tracy.
You can't get the list? You're going to accept Dick Durbin's word, or whoever that guy is, as to who is on that list and who isn't, and that it can and can't be released? Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are. We have an election coming up, and we need to adjudicate this matter at the polls. God knows the FBI and DOJ aren't going to do anything.
He has privately told other government officials that Trump's name appeared in the files. According to people,
you can't get the list? You're going to accept Dick Durbin's word, or whoever that guy is?
This is is Trump in the Epstein files? Yes, but in yellow. This is absolutely what everybody thinks about this or knows about this. So here's James Lee. This is an unredacted list of evidence collected related to Epstein that is currently in the custody of the DOJ. You have folders and boxes full of photos, videos, planners, logs, hard drives, blueprints, financial documents, etc. Everything needs to be released. These, I looked closely at these. And it just a quick look at it lets you know what's in here. Peach massage table, green massage table, beige massage table. Let's see. There's some things in here that are weird. So this is like a list of evidence, I guess. Photo album of girls, photos of Island, album of girl and Epstein, handwritten notes. Let's see. Employee contact lists. Hold on. Some more salacious things here. Hard drives. One folder labeled Sue, containing various photos and CDs. Hold on. One set of copper handcuffs and a whip. One green massage table. Photo depicting two girls. Cash disbursements. Framed photos of naked females. A set of cuffs, dildo, leash, box of condoms, nurse cap, stethoscope, butt plug. 2 photos of female buttocks. You get the idea. This is just a random evidence, not a random, but evidence list related to Epstein. Will I go back to the picture of Trump? You think so? You think so, Schulte? How about Cash Patel? Let's see. They're also apparently talking to Ghislaine Maxwell. She said she wanted to speak with Congress. So this lady is kind of telling you what's going to go down. Excuse me.
Well, before she testifies in front of Congress, she's been asked to testify in front of Congress, and she said she's willing. So they're meeting with her, and they're putting together a story. in which she is going to make repeated claims on public TV and for the record that Donald Trump had zero to do with interacting with Jeffrey Epstein and the trafficking of these young women in exchange for a pardon. Now, the exchange for the pardon is not going to happen right away because that's just going to be a killer for Donald Trump and his reputation. They're going to promise her, we're going to wait till all this dies down. We're going to let your testimony, percolate. We're going to let MAGA start running with the sea. Donald Trump had nothing to do with it. He wasn't in the Epstein files because the FBI agents right now are flagging and removing those pages. And when all of that happens, then we're going to quietly pardon you. And that's what's going to happen. I'm willing to take a bet on it.
Okay. That's somebody's idea of what's going to happen. I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that. Sure. That's one scenario. Okay, last thing. Oh, by the way, guys, if you support the show, if you want to support the show, if you like this show coming to you for free, Monday through Friday, and you want to see the show continue to come to you, there are ways to support the show in the description box of whatever platform you're walking on or watching on. There's also a link tree on X if you want to use that. All the usual avenues are there: PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, Zelle, Buy Me a Coffee, Ko-Fi, Patreon, and Substack. Many of you support the show on the regular. You know who you are, and I appreciate you. This is the last frightening thing for the day. These congressional subversives have reintroduced the Stop Hate Act, which will designate anyone that criticizes Israel on social media a terrorist. Anyone who criticizes Israel on social media, a terrorist. That's pretty extreme. And we'll also fine social media companies $5 million for not suppressing anti-Israel speech. My God. Alrighty.
This bipartisan legislation will require social media companies to release detailed public reports of violations of their terms of service and to outline how they're addressing these violations, which includes the use of their platforms by terrorist groups. Every day companies fail to report this information, it will result in a $5 million fine. Social media
I think
companies
he means people saying, hey, we don't like genocide and stuff. Yeah. I don't get it.
hide the crime
I'm finding it hard to understand.
Especially when they pose a threat to America's national security. And we're very proud this bill has the backing of the Anti-Defamation League.
I saw anti-Semitism for the first time when I was 15 years old. I had good parents who taught me it was wrong, but it left a lasting impression on seeing my first incident as a teenager. And if you're on my social media, you see it every day from people that are responding back with what I consider clearly anti-Semitic kind of messages on social media. I even saw a article today. It was about me, but talking about we have opposed congressmen who are pro-Zionists, right? And you're like, in other words, it's all over our social media, and it's unacceptable. And when I saw the protests out here the last 2 days, they were vile, right? You can see the anti-Semitism in their comments and how they were treating some of our members of Congress who are Jewish. I saw that firsthand. It's unacceptable. And so we want to be in a country that makes clear that anti-Semitism or any kind of racism is repugnant.
Especially, but the problem is that we don't understand what anti-Semitism means, and you probably don't either, because we changed the definition of it. And we can make it mean whatever we want to mean, and then, et cetera, et cetera. Again, these people are not sane, highly corrupt, not ethical or moral, And so there's that. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. And enjoy the rest of your day. I don't know if I have anybody to thank at the moment. I am not sure. I'll see y'all tomorrow at the regular time of 12 p.m. Pacific. And we'll do it all over again. Beware the bear.